Hey guys, how's it going? So it's been a little bit since I've done a video, but I was thinking about putting up an inaugural draft video. I know it's a little late and a lot of people have already gotten the game and all the leagues are pretty much started and going on, but with the All-Star break being right now, I think a lot of people are getting that discount and starting up new leagues with inaugural drafts, and I think this would be a pretty good video to help some of you guys out. And if anything, you can look at it in the future if you ever have an inaugural draft and hopefully learn a thing or two. So what I'm doing here, I'll show you guys the settings. I'm going to turn off scouting and I'm going to turn off coaches and the owner goals. I think the owner goals last year were not that polished. Sometimes the owner would give you crazy goals, and then sometimes you complete the goals and it wouldn't say that you did. So I usually play with it off. It could be better this season, but I haven't given it the time of day to really check it out. Now, something else that I want to do is show that I'm doing no actual ratings, just potentials, 1 to 5 as well, trying to give us the biggest discrepancy that we can and as many smoke screens as we can so that we're looking purely on stats. I'm going to turn off baseball cards as well. We're going to do no fictional pictures. I don't want any of that stuff. We're going to turn off injuries for the sake of this video. What I want to do, the whole purpose of this video is to show you guys what to look for in an inaugural draft and then simulate a season just to see how we do in one season. And I know that it's a small sample size, but if I can get a pretty young core of players mixed in with some young and some veterans, then chances are you're going to be set for a few seasons, and after that you're on your own. But that is all I want to do for here. I'm going to actually turn off morale as well. Well, no, I'll leave that on. I'll leave morale on. Leave morale on. So this is the inaugural draft. Here we go. 3rd pick overall. I'm actually going to assign random order 5 times. 4 and 5. So we are the 9th pick. And it is a serpentine draft. So I'll be the 21st pick or so in the next round. And what you want to do right out of the get-go is I like to customize my whatever view I'm looking at. As you can see here, extra base hits, average, and all that stuff. That was a different filter that I had on. We'll go ahead and change all of that. And I hate looking at these stars, so I'm going to get rid of the stars as well. Now let's go back. Got rid of the stars. There we go. Yeah, I hate looking at those stars. I don't think they're very accurate at all. So first things first, you want to identify if it's a batting heavy league as an offense heavy or pitching heavy. And just by looking at it right now, we have a lot of 5 potentials, and I'm immediately thinking that this is an offensive, very offensive heavy league. If you see, there's many players like right around their prime age with 5 power. That's pretty insane. So yeah, you can tell right from the get-go, it's usually not this easy to identify which the surplus is in, whether it's batters or pitching. But it looks like, I haven't even looked at the pitchers yet, but it looks like most definitely going to be an offensive-driven league. But actually, there's a lot of good pitchers, too. This is just an extremely talented league, and I've never done an inaugural draft on 17 before, so I don't know if this is different than 16 or 15, but the core concepts remain the same. I don't know if they just have a higher influx of talent in 17 just in general. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to our pick. So here we are, the 9th pick right there, and let's actually, okay. Well, all right, let's get to looking here. We could create a filter, but I don't think we would need to. We could do that. And it looks like this guy is really good. Well, I don't know why overall ratings still have stars on them. Did I not? Okay, I must have missed that. Okay, so this guy looks really, really good. I must not have turned on contracts. So let's go to the inaugural draft. Yes. And we'll do that. Apply that to all. Okay, so we're going to have a 120 million budget. So let's go back now. Might have made a mistake in not doing that quicker, but oh well. So let's go back to the guy that we were looking at. This guy, I believe. Yeah, he doesn't want much. 550,000. And I like to look at the scouting reports whenever I'm undecided about somebody. You shouldn't take too much weight into what the scouting report says, but at the same time, if you're in between two players and one scouting report looks better, I will use that as a determining factor. So, just looking at it, we don't know what the actual ratings look like. We don't know what his actual ratings are. We have no idea. But the scouting report is the closest thing we've got. All we see are potentials. So by looking at the scouting report, it says he looks like an ace, and he knows what he's doing on the mound and simply gets the job done. He's a lefty. Okay, he's a lefty, 26 years old. 3 stand, 5 hold runners. That's really good. The 5 hold runners is awesome. And I'm pretty sure that this guy is a sure thing. So I'm going to actually draft him first. And the reason I'm going starting pitching first is because this league looks so heavy in offense that I want to load up on the side of the ball that is not most common. So, like, when I'm going for positions that are a dime a dozen, I don't want a dime a dozen. I want to get the players that are hard to find. So, we've got our ace, number 1, and I want 2 really good pitchers. Because in the playoffs, I firmly believe that 2 good pitchers are necessary. And I'd like for it to be a lefty and a righty. But the way that it's looking now is there's so many lefties. Jeez. Okay, so I'm thinking this is going to be the guy that I go with. He's 24. It says, it says future number 1 or number 2. That means in my opinion, I'm pretty sure that means that he's not ready. So he's just a prospect still. It could be because of his age and not actually because of his ratings. But I have no idea, and I don't want to take that risk with the second round. So I'm going to check a couple things out. Yeah, it's a shame that, well, yeah, I don't want this hold rating to be a 1. But this guy looks pretty good. Just knows how to win. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, so we're just gonna hold off because there's no one that's jumping out on me at me, and I don't want to reach. It's the worst thing that you can do, in my opinion, is reach because you want a certain position. So what we're going to do is we're just going to check this out and see what's going on here. We're going to go to the shortstops. And I don't want... Okay, so we're just going to make our own filter. I had a bunch of previously set filters that we are not going to worry about right now. So let's look at shortstops that's at least a 5. Let's see if there's any really good 5 rated shortstops. And it doesn't look like it. That's fine. I didn't expect there to be. I just figured I'd start there. So, this guy, 27 years old. Scouting report says put on a clinic every time he's at the plate. A truly fantastic hitter. He doesn't want that much money. And he's 5s all across the board with a 3 error. And that really sucks about the 3 error. But I think we're going to go with him. And he can play anywhere. So we're going to go with this guy. Jeremy Eccles. And we're going to draft him. And then we're going to go to the next pick. And something that I want to explain as well. If you go to your settings, which is right here, or if you just go to the home page and then click settings, then you can look at home runs overall, and well, not just any, I don't even know why I said that, home runs overall. You can look at your entire ballpark factors, and your factors are incredibly important in drafting your team. So you can see that my team is my ballpark is very favored towards hitters because it's above the 1,000 mark, and 1,000 is the average. So you can see it definitely favors the hitters. And I'm actually going to pause this for 1 second. Maybe I will. Okay, there we go. All right, and we're back. So sorry about that. I had pizza rolls in the oven. Completely forgot I put them in there. Realized when I heard the beeping. So there we go. Back at it. And as I was saying before, the ballpark factors. Really important when you're building your team. Most of the time, you cannot change these if you're in like an existing league. It really depends on what the league rules are. But when you're picking your team in an inaugural draft, maybe if it's a completely brand new league, you choose your ballpark factors, sure. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to say that you need to build your team according to your ballpark, because you're going to play 81 games there, more than any other ballpark on your schedule. So here we can see triples are insane, doubles are insane, and everything else is still very heavily weighted in the hitter's favor. So this tells me that I want to get good pitchers, because even my average hitters are going to do better because of my ballpark. At least in my ballpark. I don't know about every other ballpark, but in my ballpark, they're going to do better. And since I think we're already weaker on the starting pitching side than we are on the offensive side, I'm going to want to focus more on pitching when I'm drafting. So let's go back to the draft. We are in the 3rd round, continuing the draft, and we're going to clear our filter. We have a starting pitcher and we have a shortstop. And the reason I went shortstop first, I don't think I explained on that, is that I want to have a good defense at the middle. I think a good team has a very strong core up the middle, as in catcher, shortstop, second base, and center field. I think the 2 hardest positions to play defensively in baseball is center field and shortstop. So if you've got 2 players that have a great bat and can play center field well, that's rare. So those are going to be your all-star players, and those are going to be the core players of your franchise. So we got a 27-year-old shortstop. We have a 26-year-old ace. And we're going to go and look at pitchers again, because I just realized that our ballpark sucks for pitchers. So we got to get good ones. And at this point, I'm just getting whoever's best. Yeah, so this guy, Omar Marin, looks like an ace. Okay, good enough. Very easy to decide my pick there. I'm going to grab another pitcher just because I really want to load up on these good pitchers. And that guy was 30. Nothing wrong with 30. He was a lefty, so I would like to get a righty here. If you look at these scouting reports, I'm checking out these scouting reports before. So if you look at his movement, hangs a few too many breaking balls, and when he does, he gets tattooed. And if you look at the guy, he's got 4 movement. So you would think, based on a 1 to 5 scale, that 4 movement, this would not be the scouting report. Hangs a few too many breaking balls, and when he does, he gets tattooed. And in my park, the home runs are slightly, ever so slightly, in the favor of the hitter. So I don't want him to hang any breaking balls. So we're going to look at some other pitchers and see if we can find someone that's better. Let's check this out. Borderline ace, just a pitch away from being a dominant starter. Give you many quality starts and a chance to win every time he takes the ball. His movement is good enough to stay away from the meaty part of the bat, but occasionally has bouts of inconsistency. Still not going to give up a lot of home runs. See, I like this a lot more. And if you look at his personality, Jordan's a leader, one tough son of a gun. And yeah, you can see very high leader ability, high work ethic. And I want to show you if you go into the editor, it'll tell you what his, maybe it doesn't. Well, it used to tell you what his personality is. Maybe I'm just not seeing it here. No, it doesn't tell you. Okay, so if you go to the BNN page, it doesn't tell you leader ability and work ethic equals like captain as a personality rating. It used to in years past, but it doesn't look like it does anymore. They have actual names. This guy would be a captain because very high leader ability, high work ethic, and normal greed. He actually may not be a captain. I think captains have low greed and high leader and high work ethic, but I don't actually know the exact formula for all that. You used to just be able to go into the editor and just look. Like it'd be like right here what type of player he is, but oh well. So going back to the inaugural draft, continue draft, and let's see. Are we... Okay, so we have... Did I not select that man? Maybe I forgot to. I lost where I was. Yeah, Jay Cortez. Okay, so it's this guy. Yeah, we didn't select him. Got so caught up in talking, I forgot to actually pick the player. Okay, so from here on, we're set. We got 3 starting pitchers and a shortstop. We're set on starting pitchers. I don't want to worry about that anymore for another couple rounds. So let's go to center field and see if we can find a good center fielder. We're going to use a filter here, and we're going to go to fielding rating at center field. Let's just start with a 5 just to see who is a 5 and if we can find one. We have a 30-year-old here. 10 million. Too many flaws in his offensive game to project stardom, but there's some ability there. The sort of the guy you want at the plate when you need contact. Excellent for hit and run and tends to get the sweet spot right on the ball. No power. Won't see many pitches. And great threat to steal. So this guy is 5 range and a 5 in center field with 4 speed and 4 stealing. I like him. But let's see if we have better offensive options and cheaper offensive options. So this guy here, he's older and he's way more expensive, so I don't want to do that. But it really falls off, at least in talent after that. I mean, this guy's good, but he's actually more expensive. And inconsistent at the plate, considered more of a platoon player. You don't like the way that sounds when you're looking at a guy that looks like this, like that looks like he should be much better than what the scouting report says. Plus his demand would indicate that he would be like a decent player, but it doesn't look like it. So right now we're pretty much down to either this guy or this guy, and I'm gonna go with this guy because he's 30 and a right-handed bat. And the reason that I bring this up is because I didn't say it when I was looking, but when I was looking at the starting pitchers, I thought that there was a lot more lefty pitchers that were like dominant than there were righties. That's why my first 2 picks were lefties. And it wasn't intentional. It just so happened that the 2 pitchers that I thought were best were actually left-handed pitchers. So I want to get a little bit more right-handed dominant lineup just to counter the left-handed pitchers. So we're going to draft Shelby Farmer as our center fielder. We're going to go to the next pick. And the next pick, I think we're going to look at catchers and just see if we can find a catcher with... We're going to go with ability for this one. We're going to start with 5 ability. And the reason that we go with ability is because... Okay, so the reason we're going with ability is because the whole aspect of calling a game is directly related to ability. And by calling a game, I mean choosing what pitch to throw for the pitcher. So framing is also actually included in catcher ability. So pitchers are going to do better when their catcher has a higher catcher ability. And I don't know how big of a factor it is, but it is a factor. And I'm going to definitely try to use it to our benefit when choosing catchers. Now this guy looks pretty great defensively, and his bat looks good. The scouting report says isn't consistently great, but is certainly an above average hitter. Now with this defense and good work ethic, yeah, I'm going to go with this guy. And we're going to draft him. So now we're looking at, let's look at our players here. We got 3 starting pitchers. We got a center fielder, a shortstop, and a catcher. Our next pick would probably be second base. So let's look for a second baseman. We're just going to go to fielding ratings here and go to second base. Let's start with a 5 as usual. And you can see here we got this guy, Eric Cole, who wants a ton of money. And we got a prospect in Justin Kodak Williams. And after that, there's really not many great. Where there's this guy with 5 gap, which is pretty insane. And I really like that 5 gap, actually, because the 5 gap goes really well with our 1330 in triples and 1174 doubles. That's an insane modifier. So it does look very tempting to get this guy. I'm not going to pick him now, that's for sure. I'm definitely not picking him now because I feel like I can get him in another 2 rounds maybe. But it's still nice to look at, or at least consider. Should be able to contribute most big league lineups. Yeah, and at this point, it's just getting... just a bunch of old players at this point. So I think this guy may not... yeah, see, he'll probably be a 240 hitter. But that 5 gap, though. If he hits 240, but gives me, 40 doubles and 10 triples, would it be worth it? So, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I am not going to draft this person because I think his speed, being a 1, is going to hurt his chances of getting triples. And doubles are great. I love doubles. But I think that since his speed is so low, he won't hit triples. The big thing about my park is the 1330 in triples. I want to definitely use that to my advantage, and I want a player that's going to hit a lot of triples. So I think I'm going to go with this guy because he's younger and not quite as good defensively, but I think he's much better offensively. And even though his speed is a 2, we're talking about a guy that's going to hit more than 240. And he's going to give me probably about the same amount of extra base hits. So actually, here's what we're going to do. I'm just curious as to how this is going to play out by the end of the simulation. So on my last video, after we simulate this, I'm going to break this down to 3 videos, and I'm actually going to cut this one pretty soon here. I'm going to look at their season stats just for one season, just to see like who did better. And I know it's a small sample size, and it's going to be like, not a very good indicator of like which batter is better because this guy is 26 and we're only talking about the course of one season. But I'm just curious as to how it'll play out. So we're gonna draft Dave Andrews here. We're gonna go to the next pick, and I'm actually gonna cut the video here. Gonna stop it here, and we're gonna set up the next video. We'll go through hopefully finishing the draft, or at least coming close to finishing it. And then the third video will just be me simulating the season and reflecting on how the season went, I guess. I'm hoping this is a 3-series video. That is my goal. So thanks for watching, guys.